Hi, Josh here. Going to be doing some music reviews on here for fun. See what happens. Why not? Let's get started. First review. Run the Jewels 3. Run the Jewels. Run the Jewels are a rap duo made up of rapper Killer Mike and producer and rapper LP. They started working together on Killer Mike's album Rap Music, which is a great album, but they expanded upon their sound that they worked together on that album with Run the Jewels, which was meant to be just a one-off project, but was so critically acclaimed and beloved that they decided to keep doing it, so they released Run the Jewels 2, which was arguably even better. Especially for me, I love Run the Jewels 2. It tackles this dense sound of hip-hop that just I hadn't heard at the time. Now, looking back, I can see the influences, but it's just amazing seeing this chemistry between the two rappers as they go from different topics of police brutality and love and sex in such interesting ways. Now, this album came out on Christmas Day, although it was meant to come out on January, so it's a 2017 album. It's a 2017 album. Just, okay, please. And it's really, really, really good. What else do you expect from Run the Jewels? Like, they release really great albums. I was expecting this to be good, but it honestly went above my expectations, especially considering that the singles were great, but not up to the standard of Run the Jewels 2. Like, Legend Has It was really good, but Talk to Me didn't really do as much, and 2100 was not the best representation of what I think we got on the album. So I want to just talk about different aspects of the album. First, let's discuss the sound. The sound is mind-blowing. It really reminds me a lot of what Danny Brown was doing on Atrocity Exhibition last year. It's sporadic and chaotic and moves all over the place. It's electronic and just dense. It's really an experience to behold. And speaking of Danny Brown, his guest verse is mind-blowing. Oh, that guest verse is so good. Hey Kids might be my favorite song on the album, but we'll get to that later. And the two rappers' flows just work off each other so well, with LP's more dense and lyrically all over the place flow that has all these pop culture references to Killer Mike's more traditional yet hard-hitting and aggressive delivery that just brings home these topics that are so grand. Speaking of the topics, let's get into the actual content of the album, because the content of this is what I think really blows away. Because everything that I've said so far could be applied to Run the Jewels 1 and Run the Jewels 2. But what makes this different, I feel, is the political message. So, although this was recorded before the U.S. election, I feel it's important to acknowledge that the U.S. election happened. With Killer Mike and LP being such big proponents of the Bernie Sanders camp, it's interesting seeing their response to the U.S. election on this album. It's honestly a bit emotional, which is hard to see considering what they've done in the past has been almost exclusively unemotional. Like, at times it feels like they're about to break, but they still keep going and they're still roaring with passion, and that's what's beautiful about this album, I feel. It's political, aggressive, yet drenched in emotion. Some of the lyrics on this are just heartbreaking, especially on the last track, A Report to the Shareholders / Kill Your Masters. There's just this revolutionary spark that the rappers are dealing with that is almost hopeful in a way, especially considering that Trump did win, but we're not getting into that. I want to talk about some of my favorite songs on this. As I mentioned before, Hey Kids, parentheses, Bumaye, is an amazing song with Danny Brown's verse, which just cuts through, and I think really worked with LP's production. I didn't expect it to work, especially considering Danny Brown has such a unique voice, which is very different to both LP and Killer Mike, but it works really well. Having said that, like, don't get me wrong, Killer Mike and LP bring it through too. There's a lot of lyrical density on this. Another really great one I love is called Ticketron. I think that's how you say it. Sorry if I get that wrong. Which brings me to the hooks on this are fantastic. Run the jewels live at the garden. That one really gets me. I really love that one. I've seen a lot of people say that's not one of their favorites, but for some reason it hits me well. Also, Stay Gold, that hook is really good. The hooks on this are just really fun, which is not something I was really as big of on the other albums. I didn't think it was as hooky. Overall, what do I think of this album? I think it's really, really great. There's some songs that aren't as hard-hitting for me, like 2100, like I said before, and parts of Talk to Me don't really work for me as well. But overall, I think the album works really well. It's never-stopping chaos and power that just hits with this revolutionary flame. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10, but honestly, it might grow. I'm not saying this is going to be one of my favorite albums of the year, but I expect it to be on the list, at least. Okay, so thank you for checking me out and staying the whole time. I know I might have rambled a bit, and, I'll get better at this as it goes on, but if you liked it, please like it, subscribe. I'll get better, I promise. Sorry. But yeah, this was fun.